Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Ref the District, episode number 226. Consecutive weeks of doing a live show. I'm Stoner. That's Trev.
Hey, everyone.
Trev, am I pointing in the proper direction?
You are.
It only took me over 1,000 videos and 4.5 years to finally figure out that my background was mirrored. And I've been pointing the wrong direction for 4.5 years, but I got it now. That's Trev right over there.
That's right. And that's
what up, Trev?
That's Stoner over there. What up, Stoner? Welcome back. Missed you last week. Me and Nick held it down, but you had an anniversary you were celebrating. How'd that go?
Awesome. Appreciate it. Yep. We had an awesome anniversary last week. 28 years of wedded bliss. Yeah. So we had a great time, and it's just the two of us tonight because, believe it or not, this week is Nathan's anniversary.
Hey.
So Nathan is out this week. It's funny because Nathan and I have a birthday that is real close together, and we have an anniversary that's real close together. And your birthday, that guy over there, is in the same month as us. We're all March babies. So awesome that everybody's here checking us out here on Ref the District. We are, of course, live every Wednesday, 7:30 on YouTube and Facebook. So we appreciate everybody who is here now, who is listening later, who is watching later. You can always leave a comment on our videos. Make sure you hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you are listening on audio, be sure to leave a rating and review for us as well. So, yes, one quick thing before we get into all of this that we're going to talk about, because, man, there is a lot to talk about. Yes, we are getting close to getting an RV/camper. And so what I want everybody to do who is watching now or listening, take a few moments, maybe now, maybe after the show is done live, and go to our new channel, YouTube channel, called The RV Noobs, Noobs. Trev, any idea what Noobs stands for?
Newbies.
Which is what?
A new, like brand new, like a rookie.
Yeah, a rookie. Somebody who's new to a community, which we are new to the RV community, but go check out our channel. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. It's just called The RV Noobs, all one word. We'd appreciate that very much. But let's get into what we're here to talk about, because we always have great topics to talk about with the commanders on this channel. But today was just one of those days where just so many things happened related not just to the commanders, but the NFL in general. Right. Which affects the commanders. So later in the cool down, Trev, we're going to talk about all those hot topics. And I know you've got a lot of hot news and notes that we're going to talk about quite a bit.
To be honest, the month of May is crazy for me in my restaurant job, and I picked up a landscaping job. So I'm relatively new to the news that you want me to talk about today. Like I'm aware of it, but I haven't had time to really give thought detail. So all my reactions and analysis and opinions are going to be candid and instant today. So
awesome.
I'm looking forward to that. So
that's usually the way we like it. So you were working quite a bit today.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, cool. So that's what we're going to do in the cool down.
Okay.
In the game, later on in the game, we're going to talk about which of last year's rookies, and remember there was a bunch of them. What do we have? 9 rookies last year, plus some undrafted free agents that JG has brought up that we're going to talk about. Who needs to make that leap? I mean, we'll talk about Jayden Daniels, but I mean, he's already made the leap, right?
Exactly.
But we're going to talk about all the other rookies and who needs to make that leap in order to keep this team as Super Bowl contenders.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that. But first, here in the warm-up, as you can see on our graphic down below, I know I'm pointing the proper direction.
Yeah, always.
We're going to talk about the NFC East wide receivers. If you didn't get a chance to check out our video earlier this week that Nathan and I did, where we kind of broke down the NFC East receivers, but not everybody gets to see that. Plus, Trev is here now to give his opinion, and we want to hear from everybody who is already just lighten up the chat here with Locked On and Doug and Mike and JG, of course, is here. We talk about Scooby's here from overseas. Appreciate you, Scooby. Uptown's in the house. All you guys who are already here, make sure you continue on and talk about these wide receivers because we're going to rank the groups. So, Trev, I want you to think here for a second.
Yeah.
When you look at the NFC East wide receivers right now, and really, you don't want to get too deep into the rankings of each team. Like the Commanders, we know like 10 receivers that are on this team, but nobody cares about 8 through 10. We really care about 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, Trev, who do you think within the division has the worst group of wide receivers in the NFC East?
Oh, wow. It's tough. I'm going to have to say the New York Giants, only because they're number 2. I mentioned him a few weeks ago on our podcast as a legit threat. That's because he always gives us a fit every time. I don't know why, but hopefully not anymore. But that's Darius Slayton and Malik Neighbors. I like Malik Neighbors, obviously. It was our guy, JD5's guy at LSU a few years ago. He's now number 1 receiver for Russell Wilson over there. And then Darius Slayton, like I said, he's always been productive against us, but some people think he's underrated, but he really hasn't hit the number 2 threshold of being a well-known number 2 in the league. So that's
especially as you compare it to the other number 2s.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's really not. So then next, I think you have to go with us at Terry and Debo, only because Debo's aging. That's a factor. And Terry's a stud number 1, but he just came from a losing organization his whole career until this last year. So that's why he's been a slept-on receiver, but he's posted 1,000 yards with 20 different quarterbacks every year since he's been in the league with us. So true number 1. Then we're going to go with, it's a toss-up. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are nice.
Yeah.
Haven't seen George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb together, but separate, they're both nice. Pickens did a number with us with Russell Wilson last year in Pittsburgh. So I feel like he can play with any quarterback. Devontae Smith is good. He did have that drop against us, thank God.
Thank goodness.
But he's not, if I can be honest for a second, he's a true number 2, but he's not like a
1A.
Higgins. Yeah. Maybe he's I don't know. He's a 1A maybe a 2-ish. But he's not like a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, clear number 1, number 2, or vice versa. Us, clear number 1's Terry, clear number 2 is Debo. Dallas, they could both be number 1 and 1A too. So I think it's a toss-up tie between Eagles and Cowboys at receiver when it comes to 1 and 2, because all 4 of those guys are studs. All 4 could be wide receiver 1s on other teams if they wanted to. So I would say those 2 have 1 and 1As, and then Giants and Commanders have 1 and 2s.
Okay, and that's fair. I think that's pretty much the ranking that Nathan and I had, and we kind of struggled with separating the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
We had the Giants a clear 4th, just like you did, because of their number 2. But I have to say, Malik Neighbors, you talk about what he did against Washington. He did it against the entire league.
Yeah, he did.
I think against Washington, he had 18 catches. He had like 29 targets, something to that effect.
Bro,
just against Washington.
And he had that one drop too.
Yeah.
If he didn't drop that, that's a whole different story.
If he doesn't drop that, Trev, I don't know if we're sitting here talking about Super Bowl contending team. Because that would have dropped us to 0-2 going on the road to Cincinnati.
Imagine, real quick, can you imagine that's a whole different world that could have brought us to. All right, but anyway.
But you're right. That was a big drop. Now, they still would have had to finish that drive in which they didn't have a kicker, if you remember. Their kicker got hurt.
True.
Chasing down Eckler, I believe, on one of those kick returns. But still, that at least prevents Jayden Daniels from getting out there and doing what Jayden Daniels does. And, but, I mean, this guy had – and, again, let's not forget about the quarterbacks that he had.
Yeah.
He had Daniel Jones, and I can't even remember who the quarterbacks were backing him up last year. Was it
Drew Lock?
Oh, Drew Lock, right? Oh, and
Tommy DeVito a little bit.
Tyrod Taylor maybe played a little bit. Was that last year?
I think.
I mean, their quarterback situation was a disaster last year.
It still kind of is if you think about it.
Yeah, right? Yeah, you're right. But they got a little bit more experience. But he had 109 catches for 1,200 yards.
And you don't really hear about it. Why?
Right. Well, we talked about Terry McLaurin, or you talked about Terry McLaurin having to deal with just dregs of a quarterback room for years and years and years, and that's what Neighbors had to deal with. So for him to do that with that type of quarterback play, 109 catches, 1,200 yards, and 7 touchdowns, I mean, that's pretty impressive. But without a clear-cut number 2, they had Wan'Dale Robinson had a lot more catches, but he only had like 700 yards. Maybe it's Slayton, maybe it's Wan'Dale, maybe Jalen Hyatt takes a leap in year 3, maybe it's year 2, I can't remember. But the lack of a number 2, a strong number 2 for the Giants definitely keeps them at the bottom.
Yeah.
And I'm with you with the Commanders being number 3 because we don't know what Debo is at this point.
No.
He's much more versatile number 2 than any of those other guys are. He can take the ball out of the backfield. But his injuries in the last couple of years have maybe not caused him to miss a ton of games, but they've definitely limited his effectiveness on the field.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I definitely have them. And I think what Locked On said is if Pickens was anything but a cancer, Pittsburgh does not trade him. And I totally agree with that.
Right.
But the dude can ball.
Yeah.
He's a number 1.
Yeah.
And now he's on a team with another number 1. So that could be explosive. And let's not forget, Dak is back. Right?
Okay.
I mean, a lot of people you don't like Dak. A lot of people don't like
But
Dak.
He is back.
But he can put up numbers in the regular season.
Right.
Right. And look what in that first Cowboys game, look what who was his backup last year?
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush did to Washington.
Yeah.
I mean, Trey Lance was not good, but he almost beat Washington.
Yeah, I know.
Right? In the second game. So now you have and Jalen Tolbert had a really big year. Injuries were a big reason why, but still, and he's still there. So there's a lot to like if you're a Cowboys fan. There's a lot to like about their receiver room, even with a cancer like Pickens. But those Eagles, man, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are some kind of 1-2 punch. Now, look, they basically had identical years. They both had 67 and 68 catches, 1,079 for A.J. Brown, and Smith had 833, and then A.J. Brown had 7 touchdowns and Smith had 8. But they didn't need to do anything more than that because Saquon, right? But in years past, look at their numbers. A.J. Brown was well over 100 catches.
Bro, he's the reason why he got traded. Like, in Tennessee, he was balling in Tennessee. It's the reason why the Eagles went and got him. So.
I mean, and A.J. Brown, let's be honest, is the biggest reason it would have happened eventually, but is the biggest reason Emmanuel Forbes is not on this team. He got beat so bad in those 2 games last year in 2023 as a rookie. And maybe that's Jack Del Rio's fault for putting him out there on an island against A.J. Brown.
Yeah, but it's both.
Well, maybe it just exposed Emmanuel Forbes for what he is, and it's not a good corner, right?
Yeah.
All right, so here's the next question for you, Trev.
Okay.
You've ranked them in terms of the best wide receiver rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who is ranked them 1 through 4, the wide receiver ones for those teams? Who are the best? Mm-hmm. So basically, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, and Malik Neighbors. Rank them.
Jeez, bro.
That's hard to do, isn't it? And give your rankings as well in the chat if you want to show up and give that. The Ace, what's up? New York Giants and Yankees podcaster. Thanks for dropping in and checking us out.
What up, Ace? I'm gonna go Malik Neighbors is 4th only because he's had 1 year.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
It's
hard with these.
It is hard. Okay. That's the only reason why he's fourth is because he's had 1 year.
Somebody has to be fourth, Trev.
Yeah, they do.
Right?
It can't be the other three. Saying, there's no way I can pick the other three as fourth. Sorry.
You're not saying he's terrible. You're just saying out of these 4.
Oh my goodness. Sorry guys. I'm gonna have to do Terry's number 3. Only because he's had 1,000 yards every season. Yeah, you got Darius Slay and other corners saying on the record that he's a great route runner and they have to watch out for him and game plan for him. But for some reason, when you say AJ Brown, the reaction's like,
yeah.
When you say CeeDee Lamb, whether you're a fan or not, you're like, he'd be first down a lot.
I can't do that anymore, though. Remember?
I know.
Outlawed. Yeah,
right. But we can't on this podcast. He don't run this.
That's right.
But when you say Terry McLaurin, you get, he's good. Like he's got quick feet. He's doing good things over there in Washington. Now he's got a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Has 1,000. Like they have to give a reason why they are going to game plan or why they think he's a top receiver. It's never a Terry McLaurin.
Mm-hmm.
Like we gave him Scary Terry, and the nation caught on. He didn't get that from the nation, and then we caught on. We gave that for him because we were Terry stands. So sorry, everybody. Terry's 3. I'm gonna go CeeDee Lamb number 2 only because plagued by injuries, and I really haven't seen him in the postseason enough to take AJ Brown's crown. AJ Brown, he came from Tennessee, where I don't even remember who was his quarterback. Who was that?
Tannehill.
Tannehill's his quarterback. Posted big numbers there, where he's the only receiver there, pretty much. Came to Philly and turned that wide receiver room into a beast. Yeah. Super Bowl appearances, rings. AJ Brown 1, CeeDee Lamb 2, Scary Terry 3, Malik Neighbors 4.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do. Mine's a little bit different. And look, I'm the president of the Terry McLaurin fan club, right? 4th. I got him in 4th out of these. It's understandable, right?
Yeah. Sorry, it is.
Yeah, it's last year the numbers that he put up were insane. His catches and his yards were about what he's been doing his entire career. But when you take that leap from, I think his career best was maybe 7 touchdowns, might not even been that high. He went all the way to 13, and not only was his personal best, but that's the best anybody in the history of this franchise has ever done. And this is a proud wide receiver franchise. And he broke that record just this past year. But I got to put him 4th because these other 3 dudes they're just dudes, man. I don't know how else to explain it. It's hard for me to do these other 3, and I don't want to put Malik Neighbors number 3, but I have to because of the respect that I have for the other 2. And I'm going to swap them. What you have, Trev.
You got CeeDee.
You have AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb. For me, CeeDee Lamb is a top 5 wide receiver in the league. And AJ Brown's probably really close. But what CeeDee Lamb does year in and year out, and the guy plays hurt, and he's tough, and he is a bit of a diva as well, but he will give you everything he's got every single game. And he's been doing it for a while now. So, I have CeeDee Lamb 1, AJ Brown 2, and then Neighbors. I'm giving Neighbors, again, 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns as a rookie with that quarterback room.
You have to.
He's 3rd in this.
You have to.
Yeah. So
I understand.
Those are my rankings. Now, here's something I'm going to kind of put you on the spot with this question.
I love it.
Because I'll be honest, I haven't really looked that deep into it. But can you think of another division in the NFL who has studs at wide receiver, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and the Giants 1 and not really never, up and down on every single team in a division? Is there another division that is absolutely stacked at wide receiver like the NFC East? It's hard to think about it.
Go to the North, Browns. I don't even know who number 1 is. Go to the Ravens. Who's the number 1? Isaiah Likely, the tight end? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who else is in that division? Bengals, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, yeah, and then whoever else.
Yeah, but I mean, if you just go to one team in that division and you say they don't really have anybody, then that division's out.
Okay,
right?
AFC West. The Chiefs. Who's their number one? Travis Kelce?
I mean, they really don't even have a number one, right?
No. So that's done.
That's done.
NFC South, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Mike Evans. Okay. Then you got the Panthers, Adam Thielen. Okay. Saints and Falcons. Nope, they're done.
South.
yeah. And then the Lions conference or division. Okay, Jameson Williams.
Yeah, they got an Amon-Ra.
Packers got some receivers, whether it's Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs or the Golden Guy or the Jayden Reed. They've got some. Yeah. And then Vikings, Justin Jefferson.
And that's it.
That's it. So, no.
And the Bears have – I mean, the Bears have some good receivers.
Romeo Dunes, and then they just got that other guy to –
Yeah, they just drafted another stud receiver.
Okay,
plus
so
DJ Moore. I mean, maybe
so let's go us, that division, and then everybody else. Right? Oh, yeah. Patriots. Let's go AFC East. Patriots.
I mean, you're done right there.
Yeah, you're right.
NFC West with the Seahawks. They traded away their two studs.
Yeah, they're gone.
Right?
Yep.
So that division's done. Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty awesome that we're living in a day and age now where we have such a strong division up and down in the NFC East. And I think the whole division is going to be really good, not just at wide receiver, but in terms of record this year.
That's a great segue into what we're going to get talking about later, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Plenty to talk about there later.
Right.
Yeah, so just to kind of sum it up, I think you're right in terms of the kind of the rankings of the four teams. Yeah. I have them pretty close to what you have. I did have a swap there, but yeah, the NFC is loaded, and it's going to be fun to see what happens because you do have, assuming you have four healthy quarterbacks this year, you are going to have Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Jayden Daniels, and Russell Wilson. That's, four guys who are proven at this point to be able to carry a team into the playoffs. So it's going to be a fun year in the NFC East. But as we segue into our main topic, don't forget later on, we are going to talk about all the things that happened today and in the last couple of days with Trev's news and notes. But the next topic, start getting your questions ready, your thoughts together about which player needs to make that second year leap. And there is a poll here in the chat there to be able to make your voice heard on that. So get that ready. And I have starred a couple of clips from earlier. So we're going to talk about that here coming up now in the game. All right, welcome back to episode number 226 here of Reth the District. This is the game portion of the show. Once again, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, share this content. And if you are listening on audio, make sure you leave a rating and review. We appreciate it. We're going to talk about here the second year leap. And I'm going to take a look real quick at the poll that we have going on which guy needs to make that second year leap. And right now, it's Johnny Newton leading the way at 50%.
Wow.
Of the votes. We have 41 votes right now, and he's still leading at 49%. Of those I listed Newton, Sinnott, McCaffrey, or somebody else. So we're going to talk about all these guys, but this is a portion of the show here, Trev, where we're going to talk about who needs to make that leap in order for the Commanders to continue that ascension, hopefully past where they went last year, which is, of course, the NFC Championship. So, Trev, let's just get this out of the way real quick.
Okay.
What does Jayden Daniels need to do in his second year to take a leap? What does that look like? What does a Jayden Daniels leap look like? I mean, what he did last year was insane. Best rookie season ever. Is it possible? Does he have room to grow?
Yeah, he does, literally. Gain some weight.
Yeah.
Put on some muscle. That's all.
I don't know if you got a chance to see.
Oh, I did.
I
put it to the group chat.
That's right. You put it in there.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody who said Jayden Daniels was too small. Look at that right there.
I mean, Jayden Daniels put on some weight. He's been in the gym. I'd be curious to know if his mom was there at the gym with him. Here we
go. She just went on the Pivot podcast. Yeah. You need to watch that episode.
I watched it.
You understand what she is to Jayden.
Of course. That's for a slow week. That's for when they start off. If they start off 1-5, then we can start talking about that. Exactly. But it's not a thing right now. But I do like to to tweak a little bit on that, because I don't have any issue with his mom, but it is kind of just fun to talk about sometimes, right? But what does it look like in terms of his production on the field? What does he need to improve upon, do you think, in order to help the Commanders? Because listen, I'm going to have a video later.
Yeah.
Maybe later this week or early next week that's going to talk about how I think, and we've talked about this since the end of the season last year, how I think that the Commanders are going to be better in 2025, but they're going to have less wins in 2025. So what does Jayden have to do to prevent that from happening?
Trust his instincts.
Yeah.
There's quite a few times where you saw he wanted to pull the trigger and he didn't, and that ended up in either him scrambling, taking a sack, or just going to a different option, which was not ideal. Just that. I mean, I'm not trying to nitpick. If I am, that's from the naked eye, I could see that he did. He did a lot of should I not?
Little hesitations here and there. Didn't quite trust what he saw.
Throw it. There's a few times, but that's all I have for me right now. Just trust these things a little bit more. I think he will, because it's year 2.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair. The only thing that I worry about with Jayden is a stat. I've probably been talking about it quite a bit, or for quite a while here, which is about how Jayden doesn't have a weakness. I haven't found a metric to where he has a weakness, but I found one, Trev. I actually found a weakness.
What is it?
In 2024, okay, Jayden Daniels, on throws of 20+ air yards, with no pressure, he had the 30th best completion percentage out of 33 quarterbacks.
So that man needs to have pressure in his face in order to be great. That's what you're saying?
Apparently, that certainly helps, right? But then there was also this site that if I don't know if everybody here is on Twitter, but I'm going to put a link to a tweet, or to an X, to a post. I'm going to put it right here, Control V. And if you want to if at some point you want to check it out, go to this tweet, and that shows every single throw that he had in 2024 when he threw the ball 20+ air yards with no pressure, with a clean pocket. And,
look what you had to do to go get that stat to find out how I can make it
right. That's exactly right. That's a great point, Trev, that I've been looking all off season to find one stat that he struggled in last year. And it took me months. It took me 4 months to finally find one.
That's crazy.
And it ain't that big of a deal either.
No, it ain't.
Because it's literally something that is the easiest to fix. Right? It's because there's no pressure. No. So it's not like he has to learn to stay in the pocket longer, or learn to when to scramble, or get better on the run, or whatever. It's literally just get more accurate when you're standing in a clean pocket.
We'll take it.
And I think that does come down to trusting his eyes, like you said, Trev, right? Trusting what he sees.
That's all you gotta do.
Yeah. So Scooby's asking, why was I doing that? To be totally honest, I'm tired of simply saying he's infallible, that he has no weakness. And I just want to be able to find something so that we can look at it and see that development into a better quarterback. All right, but let's get off Jayden Daniels because obviously what he's done is legit, and we don't have to worry about that. Let's go to the second round and Johnny Newton. He's winning our poll right now at 48% of all of the rookies that need to make that next step. Johnny Newton. Trev, are you concerned about Johnny Newton?
No.
Why? Well, why not? Why are you not concerned about it?
Because we didn't draft him to come be a world beater. We drafted him to come be a part of this quote unquote treacherous defensive line that we were already having.
Yeah.
Before we let go John Allen. But yeah, like he wasn't a first round pick. He wasn't talked about enough pre-draft, like considered as a Jamin Davis left from like the 7th round to the 2nd round. And of course, we were like, oh, okay, and we took him. It wasn't like that. It was like maybe a bit of a reach for some other people, but not for our staff. I like the pick. I like where we picked him. It's unfortunate that he had to start the season with some foot injury issues that were kind of lingering from his college season too. But I'm not worried about him. He's got Deron Payne in his ear. He's got Sheldon Day in his ear. He's got, everybody else in his ear that's going to help him make it better. So I'm not really worried about it. As long as it contributes in some sort of way, I'm cool. I'm not asking him to come and be a sack master or, you know what I mean? It's just play your part, play your role.
I wish I could find some stats that I took down on Newton, but because, I go through these notebooks.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, I go through them. I've literally got stacks of maybe 30 notebooks because I'm always taking notes and doing research. And I looked up some stats for Johnny Newton last year. And look, Johnny Newton has all the measurables. Right? His RAS score was off the charts. He was drafted in the 2nd round by Washington, even though they already had Payne Allen and Fedarian Mathis, a defensive tackle, because Washington couldn't pass up the value of him in the 2nd round. And then I looked at all of his stats through the year, for the whole year. And I looked not just at numbers, but I looked at PFF and I looked at some advanced stats. And you know what he was last year in comparison to a player who was here in maybe 2016, 2017, 2018, that time frame? Does that give you any ideas about who was a defensive tackle in that time frame that we all liked? No. But he ended up moving on. Who was a 5th round pick?
Who was it?
Matt Ioannidis.
Oh,
Johnny Newton last year was Matt Ioannidis. And that's not completely fair. It's not an apples to apples comparison. You have different teams, defensive coordinators, different systems, all of that stuff. But in terms of his production, he was Matt Ioannidis. And Matt Ioannidis, in that one particular year, had a really good year. But that's not what you expect from a 2nd rounder. You expect a 2nd rounder to be a difference maker at some point. No?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, the guy, Johnny Newton, didn't flash that much to me. His PFF grades, I'm not going to lie, were not great. I mean, again, take PFF for what it is.
Right.
You use them when they are supporting your argument.
Yeah.
You dismiss them if it does not support your argument. Yeah. But, that's basically what Johnny Newton is last year. And I agree with everybody, at least in this poll, that again, at 44%, he's the guy that needs to take the biggest leap. You lost Jonathan Allen. You dumped Well, and you can say you dumped Jonathan Allen. You dumped Fedarian Mathis mid-season last year.
Yeah.
You need Johnny Newton to take that step.
Okay.
You're not buying it? You don't
think
he's
the most important? No, if he was, we wouldn't have got Javon Kinlaw. We wouldn't have got Eddie Goldman. We wouldn't have got other people to help that defensive line if we thought Johnny Newton was the difference maker that a second rounder is supposed to be.
So if you went out and got those guys, if your biggest free agent acquisition of the offseason was a defensive tackle,
yeah,
what does that say about the current defensive tackle? And
we need help.
Yeah, he needs help. I mean, Payne is basically got 1 year left on his deal.
This is going to be his first, fully healthy.
I don't do that. I don't do this. He needs a full off season of camp to get healthy. I don't play that.
It's a thing.
At some point, he was fully healthy.
Yeah, never for us.
I'm saying at some point in 2024 with the Washington Commanders, he was fully healthy. And he was fine. He was fine. He was Matt Ioannidis to me. Okay. Let's move on to the second of the second rounders last year, and that's Mikey Sanistrell.
Okay.
He was not even in the poll.
Right.
Because he did what he had to do last year in order to be what this team needed and allow them to, in the offseason, to frame a very good cornerback room. Mm-hmm. They went from, essentially, Trev, that being a huge weakness, St. Juste, Forbes, and Sanistrell at the beginning of the year to Lattimore, Trey Amos, and Sanistrell. They went from a weakness to a strength to me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you expect from Sanistrell in 25?
I expect him to have a more comfortable role on this defense. Thanks to the acquisitions that we made in the cornerback room. I think it gives him a chance to play more inside. Now, he did a lot of that in his time in college, and he was asked to play outside because we didn't have nobody else. So, and he held his own on that. But I'm looking for him to be more comfortable in what Joe Witt wants him to do, and for him to be in more of his natural inside position than the outside.
And I think that he is poised to have he's poised to have another big year.
Yeah, especially if he's inside, bro. Yeah,
yeah. If he's inside we're not 100% sure that he's going to be inside,
right? But
all the time, but
we went and got some moves to make us think that he'll be on the inside a lot.
Yeah,
last year.
All right, let's go on to the third second round pick for the Commanders from 2024 draft, and that's Ben Sinnott.
Okay,
Ben Sinnott, Trev. You got any issues with that pick after 1 year? It's not fair to judge these guys after 1 year, but that's all we got. So that's all the data we have is one season in the NFL. You have any concerns about Ben Sinnott?
No, just confusion. Maybe not concerns, just questions like, what's up?
Yeah.
Why did he not get any burn last year, at all?
Yeah.
I mean, he showed that promising catch and run in preseason to where it's like, okay, he going to be this year coming up, he's going to provide, but he never saw the field like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're giving up on him. I just don't know what's going on. Does he not understand the playbook fast enough? Was it really just we weren't running those kind of packages where we wanted to feature him yet? I just don't know. So I'm not concerned. I just literally don't know. Because the dude was a beast in college, and he was a second-round pick for a reason.
Yeah.
And they love him. I don't think they lied about loving him as much as they did in drafting him. It's just, what's going on? That's all I want to know.
Yeah. No, that's a fair question with Sinnott. Let's look at let's look at numbers again. That's what I like to do, right? I like to look at stats and everything.
He had a touchdown.
He did have one touch. He had 5 catches. He had 5 catches the entire season.
Yeah.
And then, so you say, okay, maybe he wasn't a great pass catching tight end, but he wasn't exactly a great blocking tight end either, because he played on offense. I don't know if everybody's aware of this. He played 27% of the offensive snaps for Washington last year.
How many?
27%.
Yeah, so like
not a lot. So he didn't have a lot of opportunities. And then so you have Zach Ertz was taking all the pass catching snaps.
John Bates was taking the block.
John Bates was taking all the blocking tight end snaps.
And you can see that, and he got paid, so they obviously like what he's doing.
Well, guess what? Both of those dudes were re-signed. They're not holdovers, Trev.
Right.
They were re-signed.
Right.
So they're both going to be there again this year.
Okay.
So how do you say, okay, fine, but couldn't they have used that money? If Sinnott was the answer, is what I'm saying, couldn't you have used that money in other places then? Or these guys are just better. What does that say about a second-round draft pick?
He's going to take some time, maybe longer than we expected.
Yeah.
Or maybe Cliff can actually design some things for him this year. Like maybe the playbook's going to look a little different. I mean, we did get Debo, so that changes the playbook a lot, probably.
Sure.
Or maybe not a lot, but lets us do more than what we could do, what we wanted to do. I don't know. Like it's a big, giant question mark because they love him so much. And the kid works hard. They put him on all their social media, like pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is it? Is it just because Zach Ertz became like Zach Ertz and John Bates was really good at blocking? And they were just like, okay, Ben is really we don't run 3 tight end sets. I'm not going to have you come out of the backfield. Really, we have Eckler and I don't know. It's just a big question mark.
It is a question mark, and
I'm not concerned.
Rob is asking, that I'm digging deep for criticisms. Well,
no,
because I'm the only one that will be realistic. Let's be honest here. If you want a show that just rizzes up the Commanders from beginning to end, this ain't your show. Right? We're going to talk real, and it's just like after year 1 of Chase Young, when I was heavily criticizing Chase Young, and everybody was down my throat on that, right? But it turns out, because nobody wants to criticize the guy who just came off of Defensive Rookie of the Year, was the number 2 overall pick, looks like your face of your franchise and everything. Nobody wants to criticize that. But if there's something to be criticized, it needs to be criticized.
Hey.
And it turns out that was correct, at least on Chase Young.
True.
And I'm not down on Sinnott.
No.
I'm really not down on him. But I'm like you, Trev. I'm like, if you drafted this guy and he's supposed to be this and he's supposed to be that, and he played 27% of the snaps and only had 5 catches, and then you re-sign the 2 guys who were in front of him, that's just saying I still have 2 guys that are better than him.
And he caught that touchdown. He caught was nice. It wasn't bad.
It was nice, yeah.
So it's like,
I'm not down on him.
No.
People have said it that Ertz is basically on his last legs, right? I'm sure this is going to be his final year. The fact that he played in all 17 regular season games nobody saw that coming.
So you probably got to ride the hot hand.
And the thought of him playing 17 more games this year it's probably not going to happen. Right. So it's good to have Sinnott there, and hopefully that time he gets out on the field is going
just get him some more ops.
Yeah.
You can't really tell anything if you're going up against the same dudes every day in practice. Like, get that man out there and see if he can block somebody for real.
Yeah. And also, if you get a chance, if you want to go to hogshaven.com, they've got a great article. Now, it's 5-year-old article, but it's perfect because it talks about how tight ends who are drafted out of the first round, they take a while to develop. They just take a while to develop. It's one of the most complicated positions to learn in the NFL.
That's true. When did Zach Ertz get drafted?
Zach Ertz was a round 2 pick.
So this
right.
So what a great guy to learn from in your tighter room is Zach Ertz. So that right there, I have zero concerns. I just have a question. What's going on, Cliff?
Yeah, what's going on?
That's it.
This article on Hogs Haven where they talked about, again, this was in 2020, but the top tight ends in 2020 were all not later in their career, but they were all been around for a few years at least already. And they were all like Travis Kelce was a 3rd rounder. Kittle was a 5th rounder. Zach Ertz 2nd. Mark Andrews 3rd round. Gronk was 2nd round.
We'll be fine.
Darren Waller was a 6th rounder.
Well, we'll be fine.
I mean, he was good for a while, but
he was.
But all these guys, when they finally got to the top of the game, they weren't all rookies doing this. They were in their 3rd, 4th, 5th year. So you just got to hope that that's exactly what happens with Ben Sinnott. But it would be basically 2 wasted years of him.
No, man, we got to.
Hopefully he steps up.
We'll see what happens.
3rd round, Trev, last year.
This is
Luke McCaffrey. Well, let's do McCaffrey. I kind of went out of order, but let's talk about Luke McCaffrey and his step up or need to step up.
Yeah. That's for me, out of the ones that are on the poll, that's the highest for me. And it's probably not even his fault. He wasn't asked to be born to McCaffrey. Okay. He wasn't. It's a guy who's new to the position, played quarterback most of his life, switched in college to receiver. Now he's a receiver for us. You saw in preseason, he's capable of playing the position. Mm-hmm. You saw early on this season, I think in that Cincinnati game, he had a nice route. It was just incomplete. I think he tried to go for a touchdown. He was out at like the 1 or 2. That was a nice play. You saw his agility when returning kicks for us, punts and kicks. So you see that he has athleticism and he has the tangibles and tools to play a position. Now we just got to see if he can be productive when he's out in that wide receiver 3 or 4 spot. Now, granted, a lot of rumblings were saying that he was open a lot of times and Jayden just wasn't looking at him. It's hard for me to say that. I haven't gone back to look at that and see, and also I'm not Jayden. I can't tell. That could be the case, but if that's the case, why is that the case? Why is he not going to him if he's wide open?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go McCaffrey, only because he's proved that he can play the position. He's proved that he can be some kind of weapon for us. It's just you got to get more involved now. Whether it's Cliff involving you more or you putting in the work and practice, showing that you can be involved more.
Mm-hmm.
Roger, I don't think he's pedestrian. It's been 1 year.
Yeah.
Sample size. He could be a Lad McConkey for us. He could be a Hunter Renfrow for us, which he just resigned.
Why do you gotta compare a white receiver to other white receivers?
Because he's the position he's in, and he's the size of a Wes Welker. He's the size of another. Who was the other? Amendola. Mm-hmm. Yes. The
Hunter Renfrow,
right. The Lad McConkey.
No, you're right.
The Julian Edelmans. I'm not trying to be that, but like, even the Jalen Lane, the guy we drafted this year, he's another guy who played the same spot, but like, he's black. But you know what I mean? He's a McCaffrey, and that's already pressure enough for him. Where we drafted him at number 100 is pressure enough, and just him on the field showing that he's capable of playing position is enough. Sure, okay. Now let's see more production on the field. Let's see you give more reason why we should give you more chances.
And I think those are all fair criticisms and fair sort of observations about McCaffrey. Look, they drafted him in the 3rd round for a reason.
Right.
He was picked number 100.
Right.
They thought he was the 100th best player coming out of college last year. And though his production wasn't necessarily there, and it could be something with a chemistry issue with Jayden Daniels. I mean, not everybody is going to be great with Jayden Daniels, right? He can't throw 75 balls to every single receiver. When you have this year anyway, when you have McLaurin and Debo, and you brought in some veterans that may take some. You brought back Noah Brown. You brought in Gallup. You brought in who's the other KJ Osborne. You brought him back, right? Those guys are going to take some potential snaps and passes. But the one that really freaks me out, because I still believe in McCaffrey. I believe in McCaffrey more than I believe in Johnny Newton, believe it or not.
Yeah, same.
Right. But right, that's probably a wild ride we're going to be.
It is.
That's what we think. But also, they drafted another wide receiver in the 3rd round this year.
I know they did.
What is that? What does that say?
He's either taking his spot at the slot or punt returning.
Well, he's definitely going to take his punt and kick returning.
That's just
promise you that.
Man, I don't want him to get the Dax Milne treatment.
Yeah, right.
Sliding further and further down the depth chart. Okay, let's be honest.
Yeah.
KJ Osborne, they can't. No, right? They can't keep him.
Yeah, you don't know about him and Gallup. You just don't know what you
got.
I
like Michael Gallup. I don't know why, but I do.
But you don't played it forever.
I'm sorry. I know he caught the Hail Mary ball, but I'm not too keen on Noah Brown. Like, he doesn't stay healthy. He was great for us, but he turned into who he was. The reason why he was on multiple teams before we got him, an injury-prone guy. So I'm not too high on him. So there is a chance for McCaffrey to make this squad as a 53, even with the signing of Jalen Lane. Because let's be honest, after Debo and Terry, it's literally wide open.
Noah Brown. You sleep on Noah Brown and what
he meant to this team. So he'll be number 3 then. He'll make it fine. But after that, it's wide open. So there's still a chance. There's a chance.
Yeah. And Tommy T here says, look, competition.
Yeah.
That obviously breeds better players. Competition is great. But we're talking about the value of a guy that you drafted. And okay, so you bring in competition and he loses. Well, you just wasted a 3rd round draft pick.
Right. So and I'm really trying not to push back on AP's draft right now, because it's only been the 2nd one under his watch, pretty much. Now, if we keep Luke and Luke is still battling for 5th and 6th or 7th 4 or 5 years from now, 3 or 4 years from now, then I'm gonna start being like, okay, we gotta stop looking at names and start looking at play. But it's just unfair.
When's the last time somebody had a 9-player draft and all 9 players hit? It just doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
We said that after the draft last year. We said, look, we love all these guys. Somebody's gonna fail. Yeah. It's just the numbers are there, and who's that gonna be? Hopefully not anybody, from the top of the draft.
So that, I guess that answers the question, Luke McCaffrey, because he has more competition in his spot than Johnny.
Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And
that's why Johnny's fine. His spot is secure, whether he's 2nd or 3rd, his spot's fine. Luke?
Let's be completely honest, and let's kind of throw out the fact that Luke McCaffrey was a 3rd rounder drafted in Adam Peters' first draft.
Okay.
If that wasn't the case, you could totally see Luke McCaffrey not making this team based on guys who are in camp at this point.
Yeah.
Right? If you talk about the guys you talked about, Terry, Debo, Noah Brown.
Yeah.
Then you have Gallup, KJ Osborne, and Jalen Lane, the rookie.
Yep.
That's 7 guys right there. Or 6 guys. I don't know if I counted right. Whichever.
6, yeah. Right.
But Luke's going to make the team because number one, he's talented enough to make the team, but also because he was a 3rd round pick from last year. They're not just going to give up on him like that. But if he was just another guy that they brought in, everybody'd be talking about him like he ain't making this. We'd be talking like Roger was talking about earlier when he said he's a pedestrian.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there are concerns for me about a lot of these guys.
Yes.
For whatever reason, and I may go down on this sinking ship, I don't have concerns about Luke McCaffrey.
I love it. I love that.
He needs more opportunities.
I love that.
But also maybe because at the beginning of the year or after the 2024 draft, I said he was my favorite draft pick. Other than Jayden Daniels, he was my favorite, and I thought he was going to be a lot more productive than he was.
Same.
Another third-round draft pick, Trev. Okay. And I got serious beef with this pick. And that's Brandon Coleman out of TCU.
Yes, sir.
2024.
Yes, sir.
All right. Brandon Coleman started at left tackle most of the year. He didn't start at the beginning of the year. He was platooning, if you remember, with Lucas, because he did have an injury in training camp, and he's a rookie left tackle in the NFL. Come on, you can't just throw him to the Wolves as a third rounder. Do you forget? Maybe the better way to frame this. Do you remember in the draft last year, 2024? Try to bring your brain back to it.
Okay.
To 2024. Everybody knew they were drafting Jayden Daniels, number 2.
Yeah.
Weren't we all begging the Commanders to jump back up into the first round to get a tackle, to get a left tackle?
Yeah, at 6, yes, we were. Yes, we were.
We were like, there's a possibility that they jump back into the first round, trade up, to get that left tackle.
Yes. To
protect Jayden's blind side. And they did. Right? They ended up taking a guard/tackle in Brandon Coleman. And Brandon Coleman at left tackle last year was not good. He was not good at all. Jayden Daniels was able to mask the issues with Brandon Coleman because of his ability to scramble and his ability to avoid the rush.
Yes.
Is Brandon Coleman an answer for this team somewhere on this offensive line?
Bruh.
I mean, how do we expect Brandon Coleman to go from not good at one position to all of a sudden being good at another position? Because everybody seems to think that he's going to move into guard to replace Cosme until Cosme comes back, and then move over and push Allegretti out at left guard.
Bruh, this is wild to say, but we have offensive line problems in a good way.
Okay, I like the way you're saying that.
Years past, it was like, we need a tackle, we need a guard, we need a center, we need another guard. Now it's like, we have them. Where are we going to put all of them now? He's up there with Luke with me. And that's competition-wise, too. You went and got in Laremy Tunsil, that's his spot. I know we got Josh Conley, but that's Tunsil's spot until the day for him is time to go. Then you got Connery in to take Tunsil's spot because Tunsil is an older player, still got some juice left, but he ain't, he is an older player. Coleman, if you move in and take Cosme's spot till he's healthy and then move back into Allegretti's spot, what about Wiley? Are they that high on Wiley after this year?
As a backup. He's a very good backup. Let's just say that. He started for many years, so he's a good backup.
So Brandon Coleman might be battling him for a good backup spot. Because say what you want, I like Allegretti. I'm with you, Stoner.
I like him a lot.
He might not show up on the stat sheets. He might not be talked about other guards in the league, but daggone, he's got some Super Bowl rings. He's been there a few times, and he just went to the NFC Championship with us. And I'll never forget, didn't he play in that Super Bowl with the messed up, pretty much elbow? I
don't remember what it was, but he had something crazy that was broken or
dog.
Or something.
He's a dog. He interviews well. They like him. His spot's not being taken. So Coleman, you got to worry about battling Andrew Wiley for your backup spot.
Yeah.
/ starting spot. Cosme, he's coming back when he's healthy. That's his spot. He's holding it down. He's signed that big money contract. He's here for a while. It's between you and Wiley. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And you got to step up to show why we picked you in the third round. And you got to step up why we chose to get another offensive tackle from the first round this year.
That's right.
Why we made a trade for a Pro Bowl left tackle this year.
That's right.
And, so now your clock's ticking, Brandon Coleman.
Yeah. I mean, they really talked him up after the trade is Brandon Coleman. I mean, he's
your LT of the future. Like he's gonna, and he was okay.
He wasn't even okay. I don't think. If you kind of just go back and look,
he had a couple games where it was like maybe he could.
Yeah,
but most part it was like
But what they did in the offseason after maybe he had, I'm going to say 12, 13 starts at left tackle, including a couple of playoff games. What they did in the offseason is they went up and gave up a whole bunch of high draft picks for a stud left tackle, which is fine. Right. I love that move.
Me too.
If you have a chance to go get a Laramie Tunsil, you go get a Laramie Tunsil.
Yes.
Awesome. So they say he's going to the right side. Then
you're right. With
your first round pick, your very first
Washington Commanders select, and we were all, what was we thinking? Shamar Stewart or like the guy from Boston College, Josh Connery Jr., offensive tackle, Oregon, and the crowd went silent.
Right, in which nobody argues with the fact that you have a stud quarterback and you should do whatever you can to protect him. This is just an indictment on Coleman to me.
Yeah, didn't we just do this last year?
They're saying he wasn't good enough at left tackle, so we went out and got a left tackle. He wasn't good enough at right tackle, or we didn't think he was going to be good enough at right tackle, so we went and got a right tackle. He's not playing center. We've got a stud at center. He's not playing right guard in the future because Cosme's there. And so everybody says he's going to replace Allegretti because Allegretti wasn't great.
Nah, dog.
Well, guess what? Allegretti was playing next to a not very good rookie, and that affected his play as well.
It's the reason why you're calling his name.
Watch Allegretti ascend with Laramie Tunsil and Biada.
Oh, my God.
Watch Allegretti ascend this year.
Yes. All Allegretti hate for the birds.
Yeah.
I love
but again, it's good that you drafted Connery. Mm-hmm. It's good that you traded for Laramie Tunsil. Yeah. It's just a little bit of an indictment on Brandon Coleman.
And I'm cool with that too.
Right.
Because him as a backup, I'll take him. He's a serviceable backup. Third rounder.
Sure. And if he can be that guy that fills in effectively for Cosme, or look, offensive linemen get hurt.
Yes.
If he has to fill in for Connerly for injury reasons, or for Allegretti, or for Tunsil, then hopefully he can do the job. So that's good. It's just you don't usually draft a left tackle in the third round, and then the next year have him be a
go get two more in the same offseason.
So that's him. So that's your third rounders.
Okay.
Now let's just kind of group everybody else together instead of going individually. You've got Hampton, the safety / corner / linebacker, whatever he plays, right? Dominique Hampton, who didn't see one defensive snap, but did see 17 games of playing time. Not playing time, 17 games of being on the roster.
Oh my God.
And I think he got in for just the last game, maybe it was, on special teams. And then you have Jordan McGee.
Yep.
And then you have Jean-Baptiste.
Yep.
And then maybe an undrafted free agent like Tyler Owens, who really impressed in training camp, but got hurt right at the end of training camp and wasn't really able to produce. Yeah. Are any of those guys that I mentioned, who were 4th, 5th, 7th undrafted free agents, are any of those guys expected to make a leap and be productive this year? Not in the future, this year.
Out of that group, let's go Jordan McGee. I loved his tape at Temple. I loved the pick. The dude's a dog. Plagued by injuries, kind of knocked him down, which ended up having him on special teams to kind of get his feet back. But Tyler Owens, I love you, dog. You could be the next Jeremy Reeves on special teams. once Jeremy Reeves leaves, take his spot. You did great on there. I don't really see you making an impact in the safety room on the field. But yeah, Jordan McGee, because Bobby Wagner's getting old. He's probably gone next year or two. Frankie Louvu, he's good, but he's going to get a payday probably from another team in a few years. Let's be honest. Unless he really loves Washington and we keep winning. But then we just drafted that Medrano kid. So Jordan McGee, you're next in line, and Medrano's next in line too, because we didn't go out and get anybody off the street or any free agents at linebacker. So Jordan McGee, highest upside. You were the 5th round pick, I think, in that, or 4th, whatever.
McGee was 5th.
And I think they drafted you to play a little bit of a role on the defense in the regular season, but like I said, injuries plagued it, and you had to start from the bottom of special teams.
Mm-hmm.
So go Jordan McGee. Like I said, I love him. He was a dog coming out of Temple. Jordan McGee.
I like Jordan McGee a lot, actually. Yeah. And I don't usually give late round draft picks much love because they're late round picks for a reason. And sure, some of them do pan out, but I like Jordan McGee a lot. I saw a lot from him in training camp, in the preseason, and really I saw a lot from him on special teams.
Yeah.
I really liked the way that he played on special teams. And now that's totally different than being in there and playing the Bobby Wagner role, which is really what he is. He's Bobby Wagner's backup. Now, Bobby Wagner doesn't normally miss games.
Right.
Bobby Wagner's 100 years old at this point.
Yeah.
The chances of him missing games are fairly high. So you need somebody dependable, because Kane Medrano at 225 pounds is not going in and stuffing, tackles that are pulling and, hitting 220-pound running backs. He's not doing that, at least this year.
No, not
and
this year.
I'm not big on him either down the road, but that's another story. But Jordan McGee is that guy. I think he can do that, but he's going to have to obviously still learn behind Bobby Wagner. I think he is the heir apparent.
Yeah.
I really do. I think I like him a lot.
I agree, which is part of the reason why they haven't gone out and made any moves at that position outside of the draft.
It might be. If you get a chance to find some tape or whatever on YouTube of Jordan McGee's special teams, you'll fall in love with what he did last year in special teams. Other than he had one botch, and that was on the Turpin return for the Cowboys when Turpin dropped the ball and McGee got all excited and got out of his lane, and that's where Turpin went to return that kick for a touchdown and ruined everybody's day. That's for sure. But I like him. So we'll see what happens with him. But the reason that we talk about these guys making that leap, because they essentially brought the same team back from last year. They only had 5 draft picks. Only 3 of them have a shot to really do anything offensively or defensively. So these second-year guys are going to be counted on. They're counting on Johnny Newton, like you said. He's DT2, right, behind Payne. He's ahead. Well, maybe 3 with Kinlaw, but we don't know this whole Kinlaw deal where he's playing.
Right.
Elephant End or what. I don't know what's going on. Whatever. We'll see. But him, Johnny Newton, Ben Sinnott, Luke McCaffrey, Sanderstill, Coleman, and Jordan McGee are all guys that need to make that next step.
Great.
To get Washington to be where they need to be, which is like anything less than 12 wins and an NFC championship is going to be disappointing. It's not going to be bad, but we're going to be like, it'll be a step backwards. Might be a small step backwards.
Yes.
So they're counting on these guys. It's going to be a big deal. Trev.
Yeah.
You ready with your news and notes?
Sure. These are your topics, but I'll take the credit.
It's the best part of the show. And by the way, these topics weren't known basically until today because so much happened today. And there was even one more that I think somebody brought up just a little while ago, that Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, passed away just within the last hour or so, I guess, which is, that's just
what?
Yeah, crazy. It's not like he was in ill health and all that, but just all of a sudden, I mean, he's had health issues for quite a while, but it's not like anybody saw this coming.
Oh, that's wild.
So yeah, so that's kind of a big deal when a
huge
standing owner, is knocked out. All right, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna move on to the cool down here in just a second, but get your questions ready. It was gonna be a mailbag segment where we're gonna have people ask us questions, but then everything happened today, so we got to get to Trev's news and notes, and we're gonna do that right here in the cool down.
What up, everybody? This is Trev with your news and notes. You gonna change the banner down there?
Yeah, give me a second. Was the music playing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It wasn't playing on my end for whatever reason. But before we get to that, Trev, we got to do your little intro thing. Your news and notes intro.
Oh, we didn't do that yet?
No, I did that was the cool one. Before we get to that, we got to give a shout out here to Mike for his $10 super chat donation. And so we'll do this before we get into news and notes, and we'll answer his question here, which is who's going to be the best surprise play for Washington this year? Is that, Mike, you're going to probably have to clarify. Do you mean what is going to be the best surprise play, or who's going to be the surprise player for Washington this year?
Surprise play?
Yeah.
It's not going to be a surprise, but maybe Debo's going to throw a touchdown to Jayden Daniels. That's going to be a surprise.
Oh.
Debo to Jayden, TD5.
Right.
And then
I like it.
Player?
Who's going to be a surprise standout this year?
Will Harris.
Yeah, that's kind of it's not talked about enough, I think, that you lose Jeremy Chin, who was really good in his 1 year here in Washington, and you bring in Will Harris. Is he going to be able to live up to what Jeremy Chin did? And because Jeremy Chin was really good.
Will Harris is
this
really
past
good.
year. Will Harris.
We'll
All right.
see.
All right. Good question from Mike H. Again, appreciate
Mike.
you with your $10 super chat donation. All right, Trev. Yep. Let's get to your news and notes. For all your Commanders news and notes, it's the TNN. Here's Trev.
I love that intro. That's pretty dope. What up, everybody? For real this time, it's Trev with my news and notes. To be quite honest on this segment, these topics were provided for me by Stoner over here to my right. So I'm just going to read off of them and then go off of them. I kind of know a little bit about them, not much. Candid instant reaction. Here we go. Owner meetings are taking place this week, so a lot was voted on, passed and not passed. So we'll start off with the infamous Tush push that has taken the social media, sports world, and everything by storm, whether to ban it or not. 24 votes were needed to ban it. They only got 22, which means the Tush push is here to stay. For those of you who don't know, if you're brand new, it's when the Eagles and other teams, or maybe the Philadelphia Eagles, line up, quarterback sneak, two guys behind Jalen Hurts, snaps the ball. They push Jalen into the end zone on his tush. It's called a tush push. Mm-hmm. Our very own Frankie Louvu says, get rid of it. It's like a rugby play, like a scrum. I agree. A list was provided by Adam Schefter, the teams who voted against the ban, like that didn't want it banned. We were not on that list. I guess apparently we wanted it to be banned. Why not? We see it twice a year, and then maybe again in the playoffs. So possibly, potentially 3 times a year. But people like the Lions, the Titans, and somebody else were against it. But here, near there. Bottom line is, Tush push is here to stay. That was done. Next up on the.
Hang on before we move on from the Tush push, because I think there's some interesting add-ons with the Tush push. In that, there's a lot of politics that go into this, because at the beginning of the day, the word was that the Tush push was going to be banned.
Right.
Then I guess Jeffrey Lurie went in there, and Jason Kelsey actually made an appearance in there because Jason Kelsey said that there's a lot of rumors out there that the reason he retired was the tush push and the injuries it caused. And he wanted to go in and tell the other owners that that rumor that's out there is absolutely not true, that he was never injured on a tush push play. And in fact, if he could unretire and just go in and play tush pushes, he'd be super happy because he knows he'd stay healthy. And he was actually injured on a lot of the other plays.
Yeah.
So really the only reason that the tush push that they were saying it was going to be banned was injury related. And I don't see it. I think it's crazy to try and ban a play just because somebody got so good at it.
Yeah. True.
Right? Because
that's true. It's like, yeah, it's true.
Because, right, like we put out a sort of a response to the whole tush push thing. We put out a tweet that said, last year, the Commanders, and this is a true tweet, last year the Commanders completed or what's the right word? Converted 87% of their fourth downs last year, which is an NFL record in the Super Bowl era. 87, they were 20 of 23 in the regular season. And of all of their attempts, not a single one was a quarterback sneak. I mean, we got, we got hit by the Eagles people.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But the point is that Jayden Daniels is such a cheat code using the RPO on short yardage that is that going to be banned?
Right.
Because
is the pass to the offensive lineman for a touchdown, is that going to be banned? That's never been stopped.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
You can't ban something simply because one team has perfected something that is a little bit out of the ordinary.
It's not perfected. We all can do the daggone tush push.
Well, I don't think that's true. I don't think the Bills' record is as good doing it, and they've tried it. Okay. But not everybody does it either.
Right.
But if you can do it, you should be able to do it. There's nothing illegal, right? It used to be illegal to push a player, right? But it's not illegal anymore. So I think the real thing is that if you want to make it illegal to push or pull a player, that's a different story. But the one thing I think they need to do with this is, and a lot of people have said this, they've got to enforce the neutral zone issue with the offense. When the offense lines up, center lines up with his head because he's trying to get, up close and ready to go. He's in the neutral zone, and the guards are in the neutral zone too. There's a neutral zone. Neutral zone is not just a term. It's a rule that where the football is, no player on either side of the ball can be whatever that number is, whether it's, a foot. They can't be in that area. And the Eagles are always in that area. Always. That's what they have to enforce, and they might.
They might.
And by the way, you know why it was the Packers that were the ones who asked to do the rule?
What?
The rumor is, I don't know if this is true, but the NFL wants to ban it. But the NFL, league office, Goodell and all that, they want it banned because they don't like the optics of it. It looks like you said, like a rugby play. So they use the Packers. Who's the owner of the Packers?
Town.
Right. The
people.
The people. So they don't have anybody that they can vilify. Right? Like if Jerry Jones did it, then Jerry Jones is going to get attacked. So the NFL used the Packers, who don't have an owner, to be the team that made the rule suggestion. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Politics. Next up, that was discussed at the owners' meetings were the NFL players participating in flag football in the Olympics in 2028, 26, 28, 28.
20, yeah. Whenever the next one. I think it's 27, 20, whatever. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it. It's just another event the U.S. is going to dominate in the Olympics, bring the gold home. They already play it for the Pro Bowl. We cry about that. People are saying, what about injuries, potential injuries for the season? It's flag football. I think it's cool. Look for a dream team in flag football like we have in for basketball. So why not? I don't care.
I think personally, I don't want Jayden Daniels playing.
He's a quarterback. He's not doing anything.
Right. And to be totally honest, Jayden Daniels would be the perfect quarterback for a flag football team. Right? But I don't want him playing. I just don't want to put him in harm's way.
Oh my God.
But if he plays, I'll be perfectly happy.
This man out there with no pads, nothing on, throwing him right now, it can but you don't want him to play flag football for the country.
I mean,
gold medal.
I'll be happy, but
he's a quarterback.
I just don't want him to because I'm just afraid.
That's fine. Well, that's happening. Next up was a playoff reseed proposal, and apparently this was Detroit's idea, and then they rescinded it. I have no idea what they were proposing on the playoff seed. So Stoner, maybe you could elaborate a little bit about that.
Sure. They just wanted to reseed based on record. So right now, Washington won 12 games last year, but they didn't win their division. They had to go on the road and play Tampa Bay, who won 10 games. Washington had a better regular season than Tampa Bay, yet Washington had to go on the road to play the playoff game. What they wanted to do is when the playoffs start is they wanted to reseed everybody 1 through 8 or whatever it is, 1 through 7. Yeah. I if I'm not paying attention, I'll forget, but I think it's 1 through 7. Is there 7 in each side? So 14, something like that, right?
Yeah.
They want to just say the team with the most wins is the 1 seed. Next most wins is a 2 seed. Think about Minnesota, who won 14 games and had to go on the road in the playoffs. That's what their proposal was. That they'll just once the playoff starts, doesn't matter where you finished in your division, it's however many games you won, and that's where you're seated.
And so the Detroit Lions took that back.
They did just because they saw that they weren't going to have enough support.
Yeah,
they're talking about waiting until they get that 18th game, which is going to happen within the next few years. Yeah. And that's when they'll propose it back in so that you have more even records, I guess. But yep, they knew they weren't going to get the support to pass it, so they just got rid of it. So next year, if Washington finishes again second to Philly in the division, they could win 14 games and they could go on the road and play Atlanta, who wins 8 games.
Right.
It's possible. And
okay.
We'll just have to deal with that.
It's fine. The onside kick rule has been tweaked.
Yeah.
So now you can choose to do onside kick whenever you're trailing in the game, and it's going to be moved back 1 yard from the 35 to the 34, correct?
It's the dumbest rule in football. It's the dumbest rule in football because you have to tell the other team you're going to do it. Now, it used to be you could only do it in the fourth quarter. Now you can do it in the second quarter, but you have to tell the other team you're going to do an onside kick.
You used to could do it in Super Bowl and get the ball in the second half when you're the Sean Payton New Orleans Saints.
Yeah. It's
you have to
crazy.
tell nobody then. It is crazy. Okay, moving on past that one.
Yeah.
This isn't at the owners. Well, it's not something they voted on, but maybe something we as fans can vote on. Josh Harris's wife has went on record gloating and glazing the Commanders. I forgot what she was mainly talking about, but she did say that Commanders are now America's team. My thoughts on that are this. First of all, I honestly don't know how the Dallas Cowboys got that nickname. I'm guessing it's because of all the Super Bowls they were winning, or at least all the games they were winning, and everybody just jumped on that bandwagon. I don't know for real. I'm not telling Josh Harris's wife what she can and can't think or say. I don't have the amount of money to even start a suggestion of how to think. That's cool. But I am a fan. And as a fan, I'm not there yet. I can see why she's there because we went from nothing to something literally 1 year. We got a lot of primetime games. We're playing in Spain, NFC Championship. We have the face of NFL coming up as our quarterback. Things are looking great. RFK is going to get our stadium back. Like, things are looking great. But it's only been 1 year.
Yeah.
I don't want to give us the title of we're America's team, and this year we start out 1-5. I don't want to do that.
What if they start out 5-1?
Okay, cool. We
can talk about it then.
We're becoming a face of the league again. How about that? Yeah. I wouldn't say we're America's team because we ain't won nothing. I mean, last year was great. Don't get me wrong. It was a Super Bowl in my era, pretty much, that I can remember, but we didn't win any hardware for getting to the NFC Championship. Until we start winning again consistently, yeah, we can be America's team in my eyes. But right now, we're starting to become relevant again in the NFL. We're starting to become another face in the NFL. And that's because of Jayden Daniels, Dan Quinn, Josh Harris, AP. So once again, I'm not telling you what to say, Miss Harris. You got billions of dollars. You can say we are America's team. Cool. But me personally as a fan, I'm not there yet. We're just becoming a face of NFL again, and things are looking bright.
I'll be honest. I kind of like it. This brand has never been hotter, right? This brand has never been hotter. Let's take advantage of it.
Yeah, but come on, man.
Ourselves America's team.
But see, this is what's holding me back is these Ashburn syndrome glasses. Whenever we get something nice, it gets taken away by something, and that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to be, we're America's team, and then we start 1-5, and then next season we have 2 primetime games, international games. We're like, yeah, right, you guys are 4-13 again. You're not America's team. I don't want that.
There's
the Dallas Cowboys are starting to lose that. They're starting to lose that name right now because they ain't been winning.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen to us right now.
There's nothing hotter in the world of sports right now than the Washington Commanders.
And that's cool, but we're not America's team. Don't nobody want to be on the bandwagon still.
The Knicks might be, pretty hot right now. Obviously, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. In fact, I think they're playing right now. I'm going to catch it after the show.
Yeah, same.
But, I mean, the Washington Commanders on and off the field, so hot right now.
But we're not America's team. We ain't done nothing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But you've got to start somewhere.
You're right.
You're so hot. Now's a good time to start.
Are we the East Coast team? Can we say that? Are we East Coast America? Yeah. American East team?
Right.
Okay, we'll do that. The whole East side, it's us.
All right, before we go on to the next one, real quick, I was going to bring something up here from Rob. Rob was asking about, I probably already lost it already, but he was asking about Spain. Here it is right here. Going to Spain.
Yes.
I hope a lot of people get that chance to go to Spain. It's a once-in-a-lifetime, possibly, opportunity that they're going to play week 11, November 16th in Madrid. It's going to be awesome. I'm definitely going. My wife and I, we're doing like some people were saying in here is you got to make a vacation out of it. You can't just go over there for the game and come back because that'd be too expensive. So go over there, enjoy, make it your vacation for the year. We're there. We haven't booked it yet, but we're booking it. We'll meet you over there, Rob. All right, next.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment we have all been asking for the past few years. Washington Commanders are going to be a part of. I do not own copyrights.
Can't hear it.
Can't hear it? Okay, anyway, it's a Hard Knock Life theme song. We're going to be on in-season Hard Knocks on HBO Max starting December. The whole division, NFC East. That means us. Thank gosh. And I said earlier in the show, if you guys weren't listening, it's a nice segue to this because we were talking about best wide receivers, NFC East. We pretty much have the best wide receiver room in all of football, if you want to think about it. So why not get any evidence to prove our point? Then in-season Hard Knocks with the Commanders, NFC East in December. That's huge. That's awesome. I just hope we're doing well when it comes along.
Yeah, but, because it's in December, right?
Right. Yeah. But we'll get to see behind the scenes and, what Jayden's life candid and, all this other stuff candid. I'm sure his mom will be making an appearance on Hard Knock Life. But that's pretty cool. I'm excited. Get you pumped. Something else to look forward to in the season coming up. we will be on Hard Knocks in season.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love any access. We all love the access that Hard Knocks gives fans. It may not be great for the team, and the distraction for the team, but it's great for us. That we get to watch them and get that inside stuff that goes on in the locker rooms. That's what we all love.
Can't wait.
Is the locker room stuff.
I want to hear somebody, tell us that we ain't paying $10 million for B-Rob,
yeah, exactly. But there will be possibly some controversial stuff that comes up with this team as well. But the part I just can't get over, we see it at the end of the year or maybe a couple weeks later, but we see like the interaction after a win or or the hype before they go out on the field that we never get to see.
No.
So now we're going to see a lot more.
I love that stuff.
And I think one of the things that they're going to play up, and I think they should play this up because it's a really, really big deal. I think it's a really big deal, is that this is going to be the first time in the history of the NFL that 4 black quarterbacks from one division are going to be the starters for their team.
I think that they should hype that up.
That's a big deal.
That is huge.
And they should definitely play that up, and they probably will. I don't think the team itself loves it. I don't think the players love it. I don't think the executives love it. I don't think Adam Peters loves it. I don't think Dan Quinn loves it. But we as fans got to embrace it because it's going to be awesome to be a part of Hard Knocks.
It is. I can't.
So, yeah. So that's in December is when it'll show. So that means they'll be in there in September, October, filming everything. And I'll be honest, I didn't watch it last year. I watched the off-season Hard Knocks with the Giants. Everybody did. That ain't happening again, right? Because of all the controversy there. I think I did watch the regular Hard Knocks, the training camp. I don't remember who it was off the top of my head. Do you remember who it was? Maybe I didn't watch it. I don't remember. But the in-season one, I didn't watch a single second of it.
Now we will. I will this time. Oh, for sure.
And we might have to have like instant reactions after.
I'm down. Let's do it.
Episode, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yep. So that'll be fun. Real quick before you get to the next one, Trev.
Yeah.
Skeptical fan here says, "Go Cowboys." Good luck, Commanders fan. We'll say appreciate. Good luck, Commanders fans.
Yeah,
we appreciate the $2 donation, but we don't like the beginning of your little statement there.
I don't speak that language. All right. Last but not least,
it's a big one.
Is everybody sitting down?
Yeah, sit down.
All right. Jordan Schultz, NFL Fox reporter, insider. Good guy, good insider. Reports Commanders All-Pro wide receiver Terry McLaurin was not at practice today as off-season workouts continue. He had been a full participant previously and is entering the final year of his contract. It's worth monitoring as Phase 3 of Washington's off-season program kicks off in under a week. He's just being a pro, being a professional, showing up when he's supposed to, showing up when he doesn't, not showing he doesn't have to. I'm cool that he showed up last week. He didn't have to, but he did. Probably just to get acclimated with the new guys on the team, get some camaraderie started. Now that's out the window. Now it's about business, which I'm not mad at him for at all. We've been saying all offseason this should be getting done here pretty soon.
And it will.
It will, but nothing. I'm not freaking out about it. He's just doing what he's doing for his family and his business side of things, which is not showing up to things that you don't have to show up for.
What about this possibility? Maybe he had a doctor's appointment. I'm serious.
True, maybe.
It's
true?
What if his wife is pregnant and she went in for a sonogram or whatever?
We would know we probably know that. He didn't show up because it's his last year of his contract and it's time to start.
But I will say this. I definitely know this. Number one. Well, let me just say this. And everybody needs to listen to this and write it down and record it, whatever. Terry McLaurin is getting signed to a new deal before training camp starts.
Yeah, I agree.
Therefore, anything else is just noise.
Thank you.
Okay,
and not that serious too.
It's right. It is a nothing burger. It's not nothing that he's doing it, but it is nothing in the big picture, because this is not something where it's going to be some dragged out long deal, missing time, whatever.
He's just not showing up to lift weights. Okay.
He just didn't go in to lift weights today, which is something, right? It's not nothing.
No.
But it's going to have zero effect
right
on anything that has to do with him, with his contract, with his relationship, with the season, all of that.
Right. It's not him being a diva. All his peers in that locker room know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
Jayden knows. It's just now time for the business side of things. And we haven't really seen that yet with Terry, because he's been
And guess what? Now, I don't remember the exact date, so I don't know if it's this weekend or early next week when they have another set of OTAs.
Yeah. Yeah, phase 3.
Terry's going to be there. Okay, write that down too. He may not be participating.
He'll be there.
He will be there. This was his one day where he has to say, "Don't forget about me."
Right, that's it.
That's it. Don't forget about me. But I love you, and I'm going to be there tomorrow. If tomorrow was a night, was a practice day or whatever.
But just don't forget about it.
So yeah. So don't worry about the Terry McLaurin situation. I'm telling you right now.
Just keep it monitored.
Yeah.
Just keep it.
Yep. And believe me, I'm the guy who always wants to make something.
Yeah, he is. Something. And if Stoner says it's a nothing burger, take that nothing burger, put some ketchup on it, and eat it. Because it's
you remember, I was the guy.
Oh yeah.
Who was hammering Chase Young for missing OTAs because he wanted to get his bag.
And now look, he's on his 4th team or 3rd team, still trying to get the
because he wasn't dedicated. As I always said, there were 90 guys who were supposed to be at OTAs, even though it was voluntary, and 89 of them were there. 89 of them would rather go chase their bag than be at OTAs. But Chase Young is the only one who actually did that. Right. So just keeping it 100. So when I say this is nothing, trust me. The Terry McLaurin situation is absolutely nothing. Don't worry about it.
Cool.
All right, Trev. Episode 226 is in the books, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hope everybody who was in the chat here enjoyed the show. If you are not watching it live and you're watching it later, make sure you leave comments according to all of the things that we talked about here. Earlier we talked about the NFC East wide receivers, and then we did talk about which second-year players need to make that leap, and then here we had the Trev's news and notes with all the things going on. Here, we appreciate everybody. We understand some of the criticism that we get. It's not a problem. You can criticize us all we want. We're not trying to be Debbie Downers. We're just trying to give you our opinions. Again, if you want something where it's just all positive all the time, go watch the Commanders channel. You will never hear a criticism on that channel, but we'll give you our honest opinion. That's why we're called Ref the District.
Yes, sir.
We hold DC sports accountable. That's what we do here. So, again, appreciate everybody who is here. Locked On Hermit Rob was very active in here. Twitzadija, who I believe is Eagles fan, was in here. Appreciate it, you coming in. Mike, JG, all the guys who are always here. Jack was in here as well. We appreciate everybody who did get a chance to jump in here with us and watch us. Make sure you check out all of our content. We're putting stuff out every single week, over 1,000 videos, 226 straight weeks of Wednesday night live here on Facebook and Twitter. So, Trev, I just have one thing left to ask you.
What's that?
Until next time.
Go get Trey Hendrickson.
Oh, so he's still out there. Go get Trey Hendrickson. Be a fan.